So, welcome back. This is Wazo X Wazwo, and this is What is Rotten in the Art World Part 4. I hope you are enjoying these. I'm getting some good feedback. Tonight I'm trying a new mic. I'm trying to upgrade these a little bit and see if we can make them better. I got a comment from Rohit Chawla today on Facebook who said that I was rather long-winded and I should get to the point more quick, which I probably should. And so I'll try to do that a little better today, though I think it's in my nature to be a little long-winded and rattle on. So bear with me. Today I was just thinking about geography and the art world. Sushma Bell just paid me a visit. She was here briefly with her husband this afternoon. She was passing through Udaipur, so she came in to say hello and meet me, which was very nice. And this is relevant to what I'm talking about tonight. A few days ago, Rosalind DeMello passed through town, the critic and the author of A Handbook for My Lover, which is really a good book. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's really quite an amazing book. Actually, Rosalind writes just beautifully. She was passing through town, and so she paid a visit to me. Udaipur is kind of a magical place that way. It's not Delhi, and it's not Mumbai. It's not even Bangalore. But because it's a destination city, many people come here for its beauty or for weddings or whatever, but people do pass through town. So I tend to get visitors because I live in Udaipur. Even though I'm not in one of the large metropolitan areas, I do get visitors. Now, that's a plus for me because it helps keep me on the map a little. And many of you see me on Facebook all the time or Instagram. Once again, that helps keep me on the map a little bit. But, you know, the problem is for an artist who lives in a place like, I don't know, Indore, possibly, just to pick one at random, or an artist who lives in Vishakhapatnam. You know, there's a lot of good artists in Vishakhapatnam, especially printmakers that I happen to know of. Jagadish Tamanyeni, whose drawing is behind me here, is a printmaker, and I believe right now he's back in Vishakhapatnam, where he was actually born. But, you know, if you're an artist in Orissa or Assam or something, and you are trying to keep connected to the art scene, it's extremely difficult because the fact of the matter is many of the powers that be that we've been discussing, the curators, the academics, et cetera, the galleries, they don't look much further than their front door, honestly. They don't seem to be too aware of what is going on other than within their own city, either Delhi or Mumbai or maybe Kolkata. They don't seem to be too aware about what might be going on in the smaller locales. It's nothing unique to India. It's the same in the United States. It's the same in Europe. I think it's been the same throughout history. Artists have to flock to large urban areas to be noticed, and certain urban areas become magnets and art hubs more than others. Now, when I first came to India, Mumbai certainly seemed to be the art hub of India. And at some point after the 2008 crash, that art hub of Mumbai seemed to shift to Delhi. I have theories about why that happened. I think Delhi was a little bit more academically centered and thus maintained an interest in art, even though the bottom had fallen out of the financial aspect of it at the time. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is geography and how artists quite literally get on the map. And it's really a problem in that it seems that, you know, fame breeds fame, you know, and I know this in the early days when I first came to India, and I tried desperately to get some press, and I would literally go with my first assistant, Shrinu, knocking on doors of newspapers. Shrinu encouraged me to do this. He was more brave than I was, and he said, Chacha, don't be afraid. Go knock on the door of the Deccan Herald in Bangalore. Go knock on the door of the Indian Express in Kochi, whatever. Tell them you're having a show. And I would do that, and I would bring along a CD at the time that had image files and had a press release and little quotes from me and all those things to encourage the newspapers to write about you. But the thing you discover very early is the press feeds on itself. So as soon as you get that one article out there, somebody else, some other reporter in some other newspaper will read it, and if they think it's something kind of hot they should pay attention to, then they'll want to do an article too, and then somebody else will want to do an article, and somebody else will want to do an article, and pretty soon everybody's writing about you. And it's rather magical how that happens. It's like a feeding frenzy with sharks, you know. It's like, you know, once the blood's in the water, everybody feeds. So that can work for you, that can work against you, depending on the situation. But I think it's rather sad because it's symptomatic of journalists not really doing their job, not really reaching out to find out what's going on besides the big names that are in the news already. And, you know, you can forgive journalists because many of them are underpaid. You know, they're underpaid feature writers. I think many are women right out of college. They don't get a lot of money. You can't blame them for not putting a whole lot of work into what they do, which is why when you make a press release, you make it as simple as possible, almost copy and paste for them to use, because that's the easiest way to make sure that you'll end up in the paper. But I think when that attitude extends to bigger players in the art scene, to galleries, to curators, even to academics who aren't looking beyond their own front door and their own local institutions in their own urban center, then it becomes problematic, not just in India, but anywhere. I think that people have to make more of an effort to look beyond their usual stomping ground. Now, some of that's going on, and people are doing it. It's not like it's never done. I wish it was done a little bit more. I think it would help the art scene a lot if that was done. And the same thing happens when European curators and whatever writers come to India. Many times they never go further than the big cities. You know, I've been told many times, Waswell, why don't you move to Delhi? If you lived in Delhi, you would do so much better, because if you were in Delhi, you would meet people at the cocktail parties and at the soirees, and you would meet the cultural attachés and blah, 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 blah. All of that, I'm sure, is true. But the fact is, I cannot do what I do with the miniature paintings and the type of photography I do out at the Village Studio. I can't do that in Delhi, you know. It'd be very difficult for me. So, due to that, I'm content in Udaipur. For me, Udaipur works, but I feel very sympathetic for artists who are not in a destination city at minimum, and are out somewhere where they just don't get attention. And those artists have to work 3 times as hard as artists who are in large metropolitan areas to get the attention. I don't know if that'll ever change. It's kind of a minor point I'm making today, and maybe it'll seem obvious to most people, but I just wanted to make a video and say something tonight, and that was what was on my mind. I'd like to thank the people who've been responding and watching to these, Seema Kohli and Megha Joshi and Anirban Mitra. I'm really happy when people leave comments on YouTube rather than on Facebook, and I hope to keep these coming. I hope they get more and more professional as I go along. And Rohit Chawla, I hope I spoke quick and snappy enough and I wasn't too long-winded tonight. So anyway, thank you very much, and good night from Udaipur. This is the Evil Orientalist saying good night. Bye.